DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
Good evening and welcome to Monday night on DJNTV. Tonight's the night where we're going to learn so much that is going to make us want to puke. No, not so much. Different intro.
Maybe a little bit.
Maybe a little bit. Tonight's Chris. Thank you for joining me.
Yes, finally.
Yes,
It's been a while.
It has been a while. Last winter, actually, I think was the last time I had you on a show, and I apologize for the gap, but it's what happens when you become old and senile and you forget. Because I've been watching your progress of the room and right behind you, and
yes.
I've been enthralled with that. So, because it's
our new office,
our construction.
I guess
I love the construction stuff. So
I think tonight, we've all had life get to us here a little bit. So
it does that. It has a way of that happening. So thank you guys for joining us out there in the internet world. Tonight we're going to be talking about some tips and ideas for getting started in the DJ business. Now, for some of you, you've been in it for 5, 10, 20 years, and Chris and I've been into it for 3.5 years now total between the two of us. So some of the stuff is going to be repetition, and it's thing that you guys have heard, been there, done that. There might be a couple of ideas as we elaborate and discuss that there might be a little thing that would help you in your business. So hang with us, share in the comments area, share some things that fit in from your perspective, because there's a lot of DJs who will watch these shows next week, next year, in 3 years. Today, literally, one of my very first videos I did on YouTube had a comment on it that somebody had gone back and watched the video and were like, hey, it was one of my first tips videos. So they do have kind of that longevity. So if you've got something that would be beneficial for new DJs, please share that in the chat room tonight.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've got a bunch of points, different tips and such or steps involved with this. Before we get to that, coming up in February of 2020, the DJNTV crew is going to be down in Las Vegas for our first Las Vegas DJ Convention. This is coming up February 24th through the 27th. It's going to be at South Point Casino in conjunction with Photo Booth Expo. Photo Booth Expo is going to be over here. DJNTV is going to be over here. Exhibit halls over there. And we're going to and we're going to be combining and going through the awesome exhibit hall, but we're going to have our own educational track for DJs. Plus, we're going to have the Brian S. Red chill room where you guys can go and hang out and network and such with other DJs. And it's going to be a great 3-day event. So, link in the comments or the description, below of the video, which is going out to djntv.com/tickets using promo code DJNTV Show 2020. And that'll give you a half-price ticket yet today until the end of October. Then it goes up from there. So make sure you jump in on that. Okay, Chris, let's get started.
Yes.
One of the first things that my son, who's getting into the DJ, actually both of my boys are getting into the DJ, and something that they have had the ability to do that a lot of DJs don't is, in essence, the shadowing of DJs. Get into our first point for us.
So basically, we're just going to kind of go off of how I guess started. So I'm kind of going to run that way with it.
Yep.
I was about 14 years old and had a relative who was working for a company, and I was like, oh, I'll take along sometime, just see what it's like. And basically after that, I got into being a light guy. Kind of a roadie. And basically it started from there. Go in, help set up gigs, tear down, kind of learn the music, watch what he does, see how he runs the crowd. Teaches you a whole lot just sitting back and watching.
Certainly it does, and that's kind of what my boys started out with. They weren't light guys, they were doing video work for me. It's like, hey, can you guys run a video camera and capture some footage? And that was hugely beneficial because they get to, as you say, observe. And I think even DJs who are getting into their 30s and 40s or maybe getting into it now, I mean, they can still do things like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And there's always room to grow, and there's always something new to learn. So being in the business, you're just going to keep evolving with everything that is happening throughout, life and changes and, what people are offering and things that you can buy. So it's always a learning experience, no matter where you're going.
For sure. Even as a guest at a wedding, there have been times where we've been sitting there and sometimes we scratch our head and say, this person is being paid for this. And then there's times we've sat in a room when it's been like, oh my gosh, that was so awesome. I'm going to make a mental note of some of that and create something similar to that with what I offer, with what I do. I found that even when they're bad, I can learn something. Always.
Yep. You learn good and bad. You learn what not to do, and you learn things that you're going to do yourself, or you're going to switch it up a little bit and try your own technique. So,
and that switching it up a little bit, there have been times where we've seen that bad, and you're thinking to yourself, I can see what he was thinking, but I bet I could pull this off if I tweaked and changed this, and this. It's like, challenge accepted. Let's
exactly. Yep.
Oh,
been there, done that.
so shadowing, going and connecting with other DJs to see what they're doing and to help them and learn from them is, I think, a great way to start. So let's jump into our second step.
Yes. So basically, how do you start? You're going to need, you got startup costs, you got equipment to buy. You're going to have to make sure that you're legal. So you need insurances, registrations, depending on what you're branding and naming yourself as. Obviously, you're going to have taxes because you're dealing with money. So there's a lot to get lined up in order to start your own business.
And this is the area in which some of the shows I've done with Dr. Drax, and even I did one little tip where we did this little mini business plan, and a lot of what you're talking about, Chris, is covered in that business plan. It doesn't sound very sexy, business plans. It sounds boring. But I mean, in reality, what Chris just spelled out is your business plan, and those are things you have to think about. And it's never fun and it's never exciting as buying a new controller and going out, but you're right that is so incredibly important, because if you don't have that information and these pieces in line before you go, you're going to have a very frustrating short career as a business person.
Absolutely. And you will find out, you've got these pop-up DJs, I guess, use what you can kind of call them, where I've got a laptop, I've got a couple speakers, I'm a DJ. There's a difference between that and a professional. And on the professional standpoint, you want to make sure that you're keeping your business and your personal stuff separated. So when it comes to taxes, making sure your insurance is covered, you want to make sure that your business is its own entity and you're not mixing and matching in between.
And that's a great point for knowing your business structure. Are you going to be a sole proprietor, or are you going to be an LLC, or are you going to be a corporation, an S corp? Each one has some positives and negatives, and one of the big things when Chris is talking about having two separate entities, part of that is because there is a potential for lawsuits, even with insurance. There is that possibility. We're in that litigious world. Having your business set up properly and having a separation between the two means that if something happens and somebody sues Chris, he's not going to lose his really cool new living room. Because
I better not.
Exactly. Because you know what? If that happens, our spouses are not happy with us. What happened?
I won't be happy.
Yeah, there is
if you even knew half of what went into getting this done. We had a few scares with some weather. So.
Yes, I saw some pictures.
I think you saw that tarp picture that covered our entire house.
Yep. I think I have one also. Tangent. We had to go buy it was a 56 by 84 foot tarp for just that reason when we remodeled our house, because it's like it was dry. As soon as we ripped the roof off, it's like, oh, look what's in the west. Here comes a storm.
Every time.
$150 worth of tarp to go up there and watch that sucker get shredded in the storm.
That's cheap now.
Yeah, that was a few years.
Tarps, tariffs brought that all up. No,
yeah, exactly. And now we're going to go into the political side of our show tonight.
That was it. No.
Yeah, we have a pretty good time. Yeah, we know. Okay, let's get to 3. The importance of education.
Yeah. So education. what I do is lately I've been watching a lot of different things on YouTube. What's nice about YouTube is you can see things from, different areas. You can go larger cities, smaller cities. You can do different countries and just kind of learn
Right.
what works and what doesn't work, and just kind of see how are we alike, but yet how are we not alike. So that's one thing. YouTube has been, pretty helpful for me lately. But then, just going to, I've gone to Mobile Beat twice. I want to try to get to Expo possibly next year and try that out, and hopefully, something a little bit closer to if that ever comes about. But getting to these shows, meeting people, doing seminars, networking and training and all that stuff where you're actually physically there with your group, your crew, we're really all one, but we're from all over.
Right. Yeah, I think that connection that you can have at a live event. Obviously, we do a lot of things like tonight, and we've got, I think I just saw we have about 80 people watching. Thank you guys, first off, for being with us.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Yes.
Yeah, this is a great thing, and we have developed this sense of community with a lot of DJs from around the world, literally. Mm-hmm. But there is something completely different to standing in front of someone and saying, "Wow, John, you're much taller than I thought you were going to be." Those types of that kind of connection, because we can not only are we able to share ideas and do different things, but we can, there's little subtle things in our communication and how we work that you can do live that you can't do on video. And there's these times where, if Chris and I go both get a bottle of root beer and we sit here and talk and such, there's going to be still some communication and some things that we're probably not going to talk about, just because, I'm going to be careful, because I don't know if all of a sudden someone's going to walk in and then we might offend someone about our colorful talk about the Green Bay Packers. We don't know. Yeah. So we watch what we say. And when you're in that situation, and this is, an advertisement for the Brian Red Chill Room for the show. This is why we did this, is because we want to have that spot where people can get together and to share ideas, ask questions, whatever, or just hang and veg and ask Brian about, hey, how is the Mustang coming along? This is what it's all about.
And another nice thing, especially about this, because I've been following along for the last few years, and I've jumped in on some kind of the live chats that we did with groups of people all over the place. Kind of jumped in on a few of those, watch a lot of the shows. What's really nice about it is, when you're watching this on a weekly basis and you're interacting, you go to these live shows, it's like you've known this person that you're going to see there for 2 years already.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
That helps a lot.
And then when you get to a chance to go to Atlantic City and we, Howie and Jimmy put together our Insider event, and you go there and you're seeing people that, I followed the name for a couple of years, and now you get to meet them face to face for the first time. Scott Carroll, we got to meet him for the first time. We've talked to Scott and he's been on the show so many times, but to actually see someone and, give him a hug and such is incredibly valuable. And I know it sounds like we're, kind of hyping that, but you really don't realize it until you experience it. Not only the educational part, but that connecting part is so huge. Yeah, so huge.
Right. The first time I went to Vegas was about a year or two after I started my own business. So, about 8-9 years ago. That was before I fell into, your company, all that kind of stuff. So I went there, looking at some gear, listening to some stuff, but knew nobody.
Yeah.
Going back, I think it was last year, and they was running into you and running into, Bar and Webb, running into Dave from Canada, and who's, just straight north of me and you. It's like, we could drive to each other's house, me to you, you to them, we're that close. But the first time we meet is in Las Vegas, so.
That's been a few times. That's Bill Herman always. It's his running joke is like, we live 2 hours away, and the only time we see each other is at a convention. It's like, welcome to busy lives, kids and family and life and everything going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you talked a little bit about watching some of the shows, but are there other sources online? I think number 4 was kind of talking about other sources to get some more ideas that you've utilized over the years.
So besides DJNTV, which has been very good. Fairly recently, I think, the Video Cave, which is a Facebook group. I joined that. I want to say it's been about a year or so now.
Sure.
And it's just kind of an open format. And to be able to start a conversation on there, you have to post in a video mode. You can't start with a word text or anything like that.
Yep.
You have to make a video. And I think that is great because you're starting to see the person that's asking the questions. You start to recognize them, and then you can answer back and forth. And I think that's probably, one of the coolest Facebook groups that I've seen come through. Just, it's very laid back, So, and it's for DJs, so you're not going to get a bunch of other people in there. So it's pretty nice. We could share ideas and share good things. We can share stressors and stuff like that, and then learn from each other.
And I think the neat part that I've seen with that is the questions. Hey, I'm struggling with this, and people are maybe honest and open to a fault, for lack of a better way to describe it. But it's a private group, so it's not like you. But people will, hey, I'm having, struggling with this, that this isn't working, and I just don't know how to handle this, and how would you guys? And people jump in there and they're like, hey, try this. Some are great ideas that maybe they haven't thought of. Some of them might be, I've been there, done that, you tried that, didn't work. But there's that engagement that is so incredibly valuable, and you don't have the chastising that you see. So yeah, great.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is you can go in there and feel like, why am I asking this question? I should know this, or I'm embarrassed about it. And you ask that, and everybody comes together and helps you out. It's like one big family because we're all trying to make each other better.
Oh, exactly.
So,
That's what we're here for. It's that whole rising tide situation. Let's jump on to number 5. Boy, this is one that's near and dear to my heart when you're talking about, in essence, putting some money aside.
Yeah. This one, I struggle with this one once in a while too, because I basically, I have enough money, but I just spend what I always get. So I never really make anything because I'm always buying new stuff. But it's good. You need to invest in your business. Things are changing. Technology is changing extremely fast. And, if you want to be successful, you got to kind of keep up with it. And you need to make sure that you have the funds and ability to do so.
And it's just amazing how quickly just putting $10 an event aside, or $20 a week, whatever it is. And I did a video on this where we talked about percentages. Okay, so this is going to go to cover business expenses. This percent is going to go here. This is my educational fund. And being intentional with your money, I think, is probably the biggest takeaway from this. Because if you're intentional with what you're going to do with your money, then the money's not going to all of a sudden be gone right away. And unfortunately, we've all lived that lifestyle.
Yes, we have.
Way too often. And that means then, if you live that lifestyle too long, you can't have a cool room to do.
That's right. Exactly.
That's all part of that process. So, yeah, that saving money and setting it aside is a huge one. And if there was one thing I think I would wish for younger DJs to learn right away, and younger people in general, is that concept. And of course, that's where Dave Ramsey comes in and says, "Put the money and do this and pay off debt." And
right. I could tell. We all know that it's a lot easier to get rid of the money than it is to make it, especially when it comes to DJ gear.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a great discussion, because we sometimes get into that. Oh my gosh, there's a new the Denon 9000's out. Oh my gosh, I need it. Maybe 2 of them because I need a backup one.
Got it.
And the reality is that, my Denon 6000, I've actually had to use my 6000 for the last 2 shows because my 7000 was being used by my boys. The 6000 worked fine. I could do everything I needed to do. The crowd did not know the difference between if it was the 6, 7, or 8000.
Nope.
Sometimes I think it's that whole thing where it's like, I want to make the purchase, and now I need to sleep on it for 24 hours. Is a hugely valuable thing.
Absolutely.
I hated it when my business teacher back in high school mentioned that you need to sleep on big purchases. You can't just go out and buy the first car you find, because teenage boys. What?
Mm-hmm.
I find a car, I'm buying it.
Exactly.
Okay, let's move on to 6. Talking about knowing your market. That's a hugely important thing to be able to be effective where you are for your performances and such.
Yes. I'm not sure how big your market is. I mean, I know you're close to some bigger cities. I'm kind of between a couple bigger cities. But you need to know your market and make sure that you are pricing yourself accordingly. There's times when you're going to get, the pop-up DJ who's going to, charge $200 to do a wedding. And then you're going to have, a group of DJs that kind of are the professionals that are going to have a set limit. You just kind of need to know where you belong.
How do you figure that out as far as, okay, so where do I fit into that hierarchy, for lack of a better way to describe it? How would you recommend figuring that out?
So what I do is I will go on different websites. Some DJs will post their prices and stuff like that. Some of them you just kind of get an idea. Some clients you will say, you get a phone call and ask, hey, what's your prices? What's your availability? Some will be very open and just say, okay, well, I just got a call from this person. They wanted to charge me this much. Just kind of being aware of that. Like I say, searching websites, seeing if they're posting prices online, and just judge accordingly to that.
Yeah, that certainly has been a possible, as far as when there's new DJs coming in. I've done some research of that, and you can see some of them that have their rates and such online, and even I've had them on and off over the years. And then there's times where you can, if you've worked with some, jumping back to number 1, if you've kind of worked with some in the area and learned from some in the area, you're going to have an idea of what they are charging for their events and be able to price yourself accordingly, especially if you've built relationships.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely.
One area is knowing what to offer, because there's so much possibility out there. And I don't know, if in your area, if you're offering just DJ, or have you added to your repertoire of offerings?
So we obviously we do the DJ thing. We've actually started. We haven't done any yet. We just picked it up, but we've added doing the smartphone trivia, speed quizzing.
Oh, nice.
So that'll bring some stuff, kind of bring in some income over the winter months, but yet it gets people outside of their house and they can go out and socialize and stuff like that. So we have started that, but we haven't really ran it through any businesses or anything like that. And then we also, on top of the DJ thing, we've also added uplighting. It gets used once in a while up here, but not a whole lot. Mm-hmm. But it's at least an option that we do have available.
So let's look at the speed, the cell phone speed trivia thing that you were referring to. Before you made the purchase or the commitment to get into that, you obviously went and did some research and kind of looked around to say, hey, is this going to fly in our market?
I did. I looked around at a few different things, and I kind of looked at our area, and I knew it was something that we really didn't have around. Mm-hmm. Speed quizzing is a little more, I guess, cost effective for somebody in my situation, to where you're only paying for the program, or I should say the download of the questions and stuff as you need them. You buy the wireless module, and it's a flat rate, and then you're done. What's nice about that is you don't have to feel like you need to go out every single weekend because you have a subscription you're paying for or something like that. So it does make it easier. But the other thing that really drew my attention was, there's a restaurant, and I won't throw any names or anything like that, but it's a big company restaurant that over the years, they have tablets or whatever, and you answer on the screens and all that stuff. Yeah. I think we know what one that is, but just the ability to, pretty much everybody has a smartphone now, so you can involve a ton of people without having to buy a bunch of extra hardware.
Nice. And again, you were out
because
there.
Everybody they just all connect to the same, Wi-Fi network, and they download the app on their phone and they're connected.
Sure.
So that's really, really nice feature.
And again, you were doing some of the footwork to see what was out there. Will this be something that's semi-unique in my market that could lead to additional? Knowing your market, definitely a good angle there, something important. Jim,
it's something you could technically add into a package for, cocktail hour at a wedding.
Oh, certainly.
Your bride and groom are going to be out getting photos for an hour and a half. That's about how long a game runs. So they can socialize, or they can say, "Hey, let's do this game."
Yeah.
So you can add that into the package too.
Yeah, certainly. Creativity in how you market it and package it will go a long way. Excellent. So let's jump to, we're up to number 7. We've kind of talked a little bit about this with connecting with other DJs.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always good, and especially in my market here. I want to say in my county. I'm just going to throw a number, but I think I saw somewhere we have probably like 33,000 some odd people.
Sure.
My local area, my town that I live in, is about, I say 13,000. You want to know who's out there playing music and trying to be the DJ, and you want to know who's out there, who's the actual professional. We do have a lot of people that, will DJ for friends and stuff like that. And then they kind of build off of that. And I get it. That's a way to start a business. But it's also good to build rapport with the ones that you have, because you'll never know when I'm a single op. I'm by myself. I own the business. I run the business. I'm the DJ. I'm the guy. Being able to say, hey, I'm super sick. I can't get out. I need help. This wedding is tomorrow. You have the ability to call on somebody and say, hey, can you help me out? As long as you build that rapport, you're willing to help them, they're willing to help you. It's just what kind of keeps the DJs closer together.
Sure. And this is actually, this part of was what Catalina talked about in our last show, the importance that they have had when it came to photo booth businesses and how they've been able to work together and help each other out and drive business back and forth, which is a hugely valuable thing. Because when I had a friend who was up in the market here, and he and I would do this, and when he would send a bride my way and said, you know what, I think John's going to be the DJ for you. He's going to be a really good fit for that. That was like almost gold. Mm-hmm. Networking, connecting, building that rapport is so incredibly valuable. Especially, I think the one thing that it took from Catalina is finding DJs, or in her case, photo booth businesses that you trust.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's huge.
Absolutely. And one other thing that, I didn't quite note down in here, but essentially it's in the building rapport. You want to pay attention to what you hear on the streets. We're in a small enough community that, we know somebody that's at a wedding or whatever the event might be, and just kind of listening to see what their thoughts were. So, your thoughts as a DJ looking at another DJ is going to be different than one, a person not in the music industry or anything like that, picking up on something with that DJ, whether it's good or bad. But just making sure you listen to, okay, what are people saying? What's the goods that this DJ does? Mm-hmm. And what's the bad things that this DJ does? Because you also want to make sure that you don't recommend somebody out there that really doesn't have a good reputation. They might be good to you because you're a DJ, he's a DJ, she's a DJ, whatever. But you also have to hear what's out on the street.
For sure. Because sometimes we get the it wasn't my fault and everyone else's fault, and that story, we've all heard it from someone, and sometimes that's not the accurate. So.
Right. And everybody has their one-off, mm-hmm. but you just want to pay attention to the ones you hear a little bit more of. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, let's continue on here. The next one, we're up to 8. It's talking really about getting into the digital world with this one.
Yes. Smartphones, everybody's got them. Social media, most everybody's on them. Getting your name out there to get yourself known. Good, cheap, easy ways. Social media, Instagram, whatever this Twitter is, I don't know. Facebook. Starting off with those, even the YouTube videos, if you're good at making videos and all that kind of stuff, those are some free platforms that you can promote. You can take pictures of you at events, take videos of you at events, kind of, share that stuff and let people actually see you doing the work. As you start to progress, I think there are some free websites. I don't really know how much and how big and extravagant you can really build. I pay for a website and I maintain mine. So there is a cost in that. There's a cost if you want your own URL and different stuff like that, and being on certain search platforms and stuff. So there is some money that's involved with that. But just starting out, get on the social medias and get on the YouTubes and make a name for yourself.
Oh, certainly. It's, as you say, it's basically free. It's just your time, and you can create. It's just probably the biggest recommendation I think I would make in this day and age is don't make it look like crap. Don't make it look like something that your second grade kids do, because my second and third graders have actually made some stuff on their YouTube channel, which I didn't realize they had. Okay, that's another story. And they've actually made it look better than a lot of the channels I've seen out there for DJs. So make sure if you're going to do it.
And actually building off of this too, even myself, I have learned a lot of different techniques just searching and looking at, I think as of Sunday yesterday, we released our 23rd gig log. We don't do one at every wedding, but every once in a while we do. And just to kind of show how our events go, show what we do, show our setups, show our locations, different things like that. But just going and looking at people in big cities that do gig logs. So like the New York, the Floridas, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But then going to those small towns that, a lot of people have to look up on a map on where they're from, and just seeing, their edit styles and what they show and talk about, and seeing how much interaction that they're getting within that, how many views, how many comments, that helps out a lot too, to give you an idea on ways to switch things up.
Yeah, for sure.
So
let's see, we're up to 9. So we're kind of branching off into making some contacts.
Yes. So what's nice about this is, when you're at your schools, no matter if you DJ'd there last year or, 2 years ago or whatever, every year, once that school session gets going, drop something off, drop a pamphlet, let them know, hey, you're still around. Maybe you've switched something up. Maybe you've, whatever it might be. Just keep in touch so that they know that, hey, you're around, you're still interested. And same goes for venue halls. Make sure if they allow you to drop off cards to hand out, make sure you're keeping cards up. Let them know if you've added any more services or anything like that they can refer to the clients as well when they meet. So just keeping in contact with those places that you've already worked. For sure,
that's a huge. Not only can you go in there and you can say, hey, I've added this new speed gaming or speed quiz system. You can actually go to especially a venue, and you can say, you know what, if you guys are having kind of a staff get together, let me come in and I'll do a half hour. Can I help you with that? Can I do something for you? Schools, a couple of times a year when I was teaching, we would have a day where the staff would get together and they would be looking for something fun to do. Something like that can get your foot in a door to influential people, whether it's at the venue or at the school or at that. And these people either know someone who's going to have an event directly or indirectly or something. And all of that, keeping in contact and helping them out will generally turn around to help you out in your business.
Absolutely. And, if you show when you're working at those events, there's one location here that I work quite often.
Sure.
And we actually get along very, very well. Just let them know that, hey, I'm here to help you. You're here to help me. Just building that rapport is going to show them, hey, this guy's really good. As long as you're doing a good job, he's there to help us. He's giving us ideas, whatever and they're going to be more apt to saying, hey, if you're looking for a DJ, check this one out, and it just kind of keeps the ball rolling for you.
Yeah. Yep. Excellent. And then our last one here on our 10 little steps here is kind of this is the statement I've heard this utilized, or a version of this, where you can sell to the people who, or I should say, the people who are like you will buy from you. And I think there's a level of this. So go ahead and get into this one for us.
Basically, how I look at it is, I want to provide the client the service that I would want given to me, no matter what the event is, whether I was a school coordinator, the groom of a wedding, an event coordinator, whatever. But I would want them to treat me as good as I would want to be treated and be as helpful as I would want them to help. And just thinking about it that way, when it comes to being a DJ, especially at a wedding, you're providing a service not only to the bride and groom, but you're also there to work with the event staff and everything like that. Just make sure you can all be on the same page, work together. The ultimate goal is to give that bride and groom one of the best nights of their life.
Right.
So, and that's what I would want. So,
and I think the overlooked part with a lot of DJs is if they would step back after they put together their package and look at it and say, would I pay for this? Would I buy this? Would I utilize this? Would I enjoy this? And if you're coming back with the answers of no, that's not going to work.
You got your answer right there. Yep.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think that's as we get into this and we have people, we're perceiving they're beating us up on price. Well, you know what? I can cut this out. I can do this, and you start taking things away or changing things, and you get away from the core thing that really motivated you to be in this industry and excites you to perform on a Saturday night. And once you start doing that, you find out, wait a second, I wouldn't buy this. If I'm not going to buy this, why would anyone else?
Yep. And there's a saying, and I'm probably going to butcher it, and I should have actually looked it up with this one, but there's a saying out there, something like, a person will not remember what you did, but will always remember how you made them feel.
Yes.
And that is a very solid quote. Like I say, it's not exact, but you will always know how you were treated and how you felt a certain way.
From that
you will always remember that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So make sure you provide that feeling that they can know was, okay, that was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want them going away to feel like they have experienced, and it may not be so much the, I got way more than I paid for. That's, while good, that's something that they may or may not remember as much as they were like, I really liked Chris. He was just there to help me when I needed him, and he was just a good person. They'll remember that a long time. A long time.
Yes.
They will. Well, cool, Chris. Thank you much for your list and coming on tonight and being part of the show. And thank you guys for watching out there. We had a lot of folks out there on a different channel tonight. Once again, in the description of the video, there is the link to go out and check out the ticket prices. DJNTV.com/tickets. Use promo code DJNTV Show 2020, and you can get half off until October 31st. And you can join us in Las Vegas. Chris, once again, thanks for being on tonight, and we will look forward to our next time together.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys, and thanks for everybody watching. Hope you guys have a great night.
Yeah, and we'll be back in about 20 minutes with Dan Carpenter and I wrapping up tonight on DJNTV.
See ya.